Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 𝗦𝗽cie Brant Show. I am 𝗦𝗽cie, your host, and I am I'm joined today with a very good friend of mine, Joe, Mighty Joe with Gym Life Media.
Hey, 𝗦𝗽cie. Hey.
Hello. Good to see you today.
Good to see you too. It's been since the Olympia. We've had so much fun out there. We took a little break, but now we're back at it with a big name here tonight. I can't wait.
I know. And you've got your proper shirt on. I'm so impressed.
I do. That's right.
It still fits, huh?
Yeah, I've bulked up a little bit since because I got some competitions coming up myself, but I'm still squeezing into it. Of course, I'm sitting down.
Will you let me know when you need a bigger size?
I will. Yeah. Tomorrow I'll call you.
All right. Well, you guys, I just want to make sure we have mentioned that today's show is brought to you by the great Hemp Helps. It's a product that I've been using now since almost a whole year because I was introduced to this company at the Arnold last year, Joe, with the awesome superstar, IFBB superstar, Flex Wheeler,
yep,
a friend of mine. So yeah, he brought me in touch with the owner of Hemp Helps, and I'm so excited to have access to this product. So here we are.
𝗦𝗽cie Brant Show is brought to you in association with Hemp, the world's leading sports recovery products.
Well, I've had a frozen shoulder for around 5 years now following an accident, and this stuff, put it on and already I have more movement in my arm. Unbelievable, and it smells gorgeous, so absolutely brilliant. Thumbs up for me.
I tried some of this product, literally rubbed it in. Within 2 minutes, I've gained instant relief.
This is really personal. There's no way that I can really fake this, and I'm not going to fake it because I'm severely in pain. It really works. It really works for me. It really works for everyone else who's tried it. Go to hemphelps.com or follow us on Instagram at hemphelps.
All right.
And I actually have my product here. I do use this every day. In fact, while it's cold out, I've been using the heat.
Oh, I have too. That's right. Yeah, I've been doing that a lot.
I love it. So I use it right on my low back. And sometimes I have a little inflammation in my wrist from probably all the gymnastics and everything I've done over the years and Ninja Warrior and all the things. So sometimes there's a little inflammation there, and it really does help just kind of loosen everything up. And of course, nice and while it's chilly out, the heat is great. This product, you may not need this, but us girls, kind of like this firming and toning gel.
I don't mind a firm and tone a bit.
And then lastly, I know let's see. This one has awesome recovery for skin. And then this is a lip balm. So that's with the Mother Sage product line that this Hemp Help comes from. So anyways, so how about our guest today, Joe?
Yeah, I'm stoked. This is like one of those ones that you're got to pinch yourself that you're actually talking to. I'm a big IFBB fan, as you know, and this guy, in my opinion, is going to be at the top for a long time, and the opportunity to talk to him now, because he might not want to talk to me for a year from now. So he'll be at the top of the world, I'm sure. So this is going to be super exciting.
Oh my goodness. I know, right? It's just kind of like this name kind of came out of nowhere and is exploding now, and everyone's watching this awesome gentleman. So without further ado, this new emerging IFBB celebrity superstar who's in the UK. We get him tonight or today, however you want to look at it. It's night for him there and day for us here. But super excited to bring in this celebrity. He's top 6 in his first Olympia last year, which was just a couple months ago. And here he is, like on his A game already, 2.5 weeks out of the Arnold Classic. Let's bring it in for the Nigerian Lion, Samson Dauda.
Woo.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, you know what, Samson? I am so excited for you. Like, I can feel inside the energy and the excitement coming right off the Olympia top 6, and now you've got the Arnold, and man, you are on point.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We really appreciate it. I think all the years of hard work, and now we can't see it paying off. And you really, I gotta be really, really proud of it and just really appreciative of it, and feel very blessed and very lucky to be able to do this.
Wow, what an amazing just this last year, right? Because from the Arnold to now, like, awesome. I'm so excited for you. Like, I just can't wait for you to get on that stage, because I know how it's going to feel. But before we get over to all of that, I kind of always like to know a little bit of history on people, and like, who was young Samson? Like, how did you become an amazing bodybuilder? What led you to this place?
For me, I was never into bodybuilding, man. Bodybuilding, I only started bodybuilding my first year in 2014. It was never something that was in my peripheral or something I thought about. I was always, a basketball player, football player being from the UK. And I sort of went from that into playing rugby. It's almost like like football for you guys. So I played that for a while, and I was always really skinny as a kid. I was like 11 stone, really sort of that timid guy. And when I started playing rugby, I remember my coach self telling me that, look, you're a bit skinny for this game and you're going to get hurt. Maybe you just got to start going to the gym a little bit and sort of put on some weight. So I sort of started doing that, and I met my partner in the gym. And she sort of kind of just saw me and saw the talent that was there. And because she was already into bodybuilding before I was, so she kind of said to me that, look, do you know what? That you got a great physique. Have you ever thought about competing before? And I was like, nah, that I don't know anything about that. It wasn't for me. I don't, not something that felt, something I wanted to do. So it took months and months for her. She kept on obviously bringing it up and mentioning it. And, after a while, even when I started putting on a little bit of size, I was in the rugby club, and, we guys would finish a game, we'd go to the change rooms, have our chat and stuff. And the guys kind of noticed, and they were kind of saying to me that, man, you know what, you're packing on some muscle, that you really got a good tone on you. Have you ever thought about, bodybuilding? And I was kind of like, yo, she's saying it, you guys are saying it, what's this all about? So eventually, one day we kind of, finally talked about it. And I said, you know what, this was probably towards the ending of 2014 and 2013. So I said, you know what, yeah, probably I'll give it a go. I'll just do a little show and just see how I feel about it. So we sort of picked our local show, and I just got prepping and got to work, at the time. Didn't know how to diet, didn't know anything about it, just thought, okay, you know what, I just give it a sort of hit or miss sort of thing. And kind of did that and just got the bug, man. Just really, started winning in shows, started doing well in it. I was like, okay, so there is something to this. And, a lot of people came to me after my first show and said, you know what, you can go far in this sport if you really sort of put your head down, take it seriously. You can actually go a long way in it. And, after doing that first one, for me, it just kind of stuck with me. And I was like, okay, you know what, I really want to do this long term. So, yeah, so it just kind of went from there, really.
Wow.
What was your weight in that show, Samson? How big were you when you walked up on the first stage there?
Man, I think it was, I do kilos, 102 kilos. That's less than 212. That's like,
yeah,
right low.
Heavyweight for an amateur, so pretty big guy then still.
Yeah, because I remember I'm 6 foot tall, so I'm quite tall for my,
right.
So you kind of look at it like that, So when I did that, it was more or less just kind of like having a feel for it. It wasn't something that, I really knew if I was going to actually really pursue it seriously. Yeah. So kind of did that. And I remember when I was doing a local show, you have like the first timers go on stage to do that. And I registered with the guy that was hosting the show, and I kind of was like, look, I don't want to do anything. I just want to jump in with the first time and see how I get on and, just hope for the best. So the early in the morning, we did the local show. We did the first timers. We came on. And I remember for me, for a long time, I was always a shy guy. I was never the guy that could walk around with a tank top. That wasn't me. Even for the beach, I wouldn't take my t-shirt off. I was that guy that was always very introverted, very quiet, very just stick to myself. I didn't want any piece of it. So when we were kind of backstage getting ready to go on, even though we spent the last 3 months getting ready for the show, we were in this auditorium and we were waiting. They was like, okay, you got to start getting ready. You got 20 minutes. And I remember standing there for ages, and everyone was like, come on, strip off. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to. There's so many people here. It was definitely like that, where I just kind of sitting there, and it was like, you got to get on stage in a minute, man. What are you doing? And I'm like, no, there's too many people watching.
Oh my goodness.
So after a while, after a long while, it's all convinced me, come on, you got to go. So, I kind of stripped off and, got pumped up. And, this was a point where we weren't even sure how I was going to react standing on stage for the first time, because I've never been in that position to be center of attention. I've always played the team sport, be the background guy, never been, wanted that kind of attention. So we didn't know what I would be like on stage. We thought, okay, you know what? It might be a point I might get on stage, I might completely hate it, suck at it, but I'm never doing that again. Yeah. So I remember we queued up, had all the list queued up, and we were like, okay, about to walk up on stage, and I'm there just nervous as hell and thinking, oh my God, what the hell am I getting myself into? This is just dreadful. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then they called me out and we walked out on stage. And the minute I walked out on stage, something just clicked, man. I just felt at home in it. I came alive. I was walking up and down the stage. I felt like, I just automatically belong. And something I never tried before. It just happened with me. And it just changed my world. And when I came off stage after the first round, everybody walked up to me going, where the hell did that come from? Like, when did you start feeling that confident being on stage? How can you, what is that? I'm like, I don't know, man. I didn't even know I had it in me, So that was basically how it kind of started for me. And then I won the first time as that morning. And the promoter saw say, you know what, kid, you got real good talent in you. Do you want to jump in with the big boys later tonight for the roles and stuff like that?
Okay.
Like, just jump in with them. It's kind of like, well, I've already got what I came for. Yeah, I'll give it a go. So later that night, I stayed there all night, and then the big boys started pumping up. And I was back there with that, and I was thinking, oh my God, these guys are all massive. What the hell am I doing here? And I remember one of the coaches came to me and goes, you know what? I think you got a good chance of winning this class. And I looked at him going, dude, are you serious, man? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? And he's like, no, I think you got something there. So we kind of walked out with the big boys, went through the round, posing round for round. And then I remember, when they were giving out the award, the promoter came out of the show and going, okay, this guy, he started bodybuilding only 6 months ago. And now I'd like to promote him. He's the winner of this class as well. And for me, I was just like, wow, to win 2 classes in my first show. That was basically kind of like the message where people then came out and said, look, you really need to take this seriously and actually really look into this, because you might actually have a potential actually doing really good in this and actually going pro and actually doing this seriously. So at that point, I was like, okay, maybe it's something, because then I was always a rugby player. So I was like, okay, maybe this is something that I might have a chance to do after all. So from there, we sort of looked into what the sport was about and started learning more about it and what it actually entails. So from there, it just kind of went on and then got my pro card in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a Cinderella story.
Were you a professional rugby player, or was that just a hobby on the side?
That was just a hobby. That was just a hobby for me. It was my local team. It was one thing we did the past time. We trained every middle of the week, and we had a game every Saturday through the winter months. And it was one way of sort of keeping fit and getting with the guys. And, rugby players, we play game and then we bump heads, we smack each other, then we go out for a drink afterwards. This was our favorite pastime. It was like, yeah, okay, this is what we do. So it was just kind of crazy that, kind of looking from that perspective and into this, it's insane, because now I see some of the guys from back then, and they just said to me, and they always say to me going, we can't believe what you've done. Like, it was something that we said, all right, you go give it a try. We never said go ahead and be the best at it. Like, that was just, that was just crazy,
Your lifestyle has changed a bit, hasn't it? There's no more beer drinking.
Oh yeah. It's definitely changed a lot, And it's almost, at this point, it's just pretty much unrecognizable, like even through my bodybuilding career until 2020, I always had a full-time job and doing this as a hobby and sort of kind of maintaining both for a long time. And it was always kind of like difficult. And it was kind of like, okay, this was still a hobby. It wasn't necessarily something you were doing for a living. So I always had my full-time job and everything else, doing construction and doing this. And I remember in 2020 where Hostile finally gave me the opportunity to say, look, we want you to sort of sit down and focus on this, and we think you can go far with it. And since we took that opportunity up and said, look, run with it. So since then, things just change, and we're kind of seeing the progress and the results of that.
Wow. So I was watching some of your videos, and you had some of the day in the life of Samson, and I think I caught that were you an electrician or were you in construction? Because Mel, your partner.
Yeah.
You guys did a bunch of work on your house, and I was trying to catch that. Were you an electrician or something else?
I'm a construction worker, so I've done electrical, I've done carpentry and painting and decorating. So I've always kind of worked jobs like that all through my career and everything else when I was doing that. So when we moved into this place last December, it was like, okay, fold your sleeves up and get to work. So kind of brought back the old skills back in to actually do the work in it. So
I don't think enough. I don't think enough people realize that when you do work like construction and you're trying to become a pro bodybuilder, how difficult that is on your body.
Man, it's extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult, because I remember for a long time I sort of had that struggle, especially when you're on a dive and you're prepping. It's almost like, for how much it is, you kind of have to obviously starve yourself and bring yourself to that point where your energy level is so low. But yet you have to work all day on a construction site. And as much as it is, you can't tell your foreman that, oh, you know what, I'm just prepping right now for bodybuilding, so I don't have the energy, so I just take it easy today. So you didn't have the luxury of that. You knew you had to kind of juggle both, whether you like it or not. So for a long time, it was a struggle. You wake up at 4 o'clock, you work all the way to 7 p.m. You finish from work and go home and go straight to the gym and start again the next day. So it was definitely one of those things. But then he taught me a lot of discipline. It taught me how, because when you're doing something like that, you had to have your meals literally on point. You have to have a day plan every single day on point. So there was you couldn't just wake up on a day and go, well, I'm just going to wing it. You know, everything had to be planned, or else you miss meals, you miss things, especially when you know you got to be at a job, and then from a job, you got to go here and you got to go there. So your time was so vital to you. So he sort of taught me that discipline of being able to stay on point all day or every day.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned your partner brought you into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming this is this wonderful lady, Mel, that I see throughout your
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 52 now, and I love the industry and the sport, but I actually adore when I see couples work together on a project and they are working towards something together. So can you share a little bit about your awesome lady there? Because, you know,
oh man, well, it's, you know, she's absolutely incredible. You know, like I said, when we met, I was never this guy. I could never, even doing this now, speaking in public and speaking to you guys, I was never me. That was never me. I was always quiet. I was very shy. I was very introverted. I didn't want no attention. I didn't want anything. And even when I remember when I was even playing like rugby and everything else, I tried not to play too well because I didn't want the attention of people saying, oh, you're really good. I always wanted to blend in with the crowd with everything I did. So when I met Mel in the gym, she saw that, you know, and she recognized that I held myself back a lot. And I didn't let anybody in. I didn't let anybody get close. I was always very closed off to the world because I never wanted to stand out. And with time, she sort of worked with me and sort of broke that walls down and got me to come out of my shell more and be more confident and speak out more. And ever since then, you know, like I said, she got me into the sport. And ever since then, she's played a vital role from the minute I first decided to do this till now. There is no prep, no off season, no training session. I mean, she trains with me in the gym every day. She follows me through everything every day. She's been literally by my side every single step of the way from the minute we started till now, you know. So the support she's given me is more than just what a partner can give to their husband. Is being full on, you know, just more mental, physical, everything. She's always been there in every step of the way, guiding me through and sort of teaching me to be a man, really. You know, she brought that to me, and, you know, she's absolutely incredible. And, you know, I've learned so much because of her, you know.
Does Mel compete, by the way? Does Mel compete?
She did back in 2015 and 2016. She competed in a few amateur shows, and one of the reasons she said that, look, there's no way both of us are ever going to prep at the same time and get on with it.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, she's all like, you know what, I'm going to let you do that, and I'm just going to support you from the background because there's no way we're both going to be able to prep in the same household.
You know, the couples that do that, it's really amazing when they can. And we know a couple that are like that, but it's tough. So, Samson, did you have any role models? Did you or still have role models that you'd like to share about?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for me, you know, for a long time, it was kind of like coming up. I didn't know much about bodybuilding. So when I first started to do this sport, you know, it was 2014 and everything else, and I came into it, and I wanted to know what bodybuilding was about. So I went back and I started watching the history from bodybuilding right from the beginning, from Eugene Sandow all the way to the Olympia right now. And, you know, there were a few physiques that stuck out to me. And as soon as I saw them, it was that shock factor, like, wow, I want to look like that, you know. Mm-hmm. So I had the Flex Wheeler. He was one of my biggest ones. Sean Ray, you know, Kevin Levrone, you know, all the way to Phil Heath. Those guys, you know, there was physique that sort of took me back every time I saw them. And I was like, wow, you know, it was just incredible to me. And that basically gave me the idea for once to see, okay, that's what I would like to be one day. That's the physique I would love to achieve one day. And sort of having that and emulating that, you know, that style is how I wanted my physique to sort of mold to be. So when I started training and everything else, it was always my concept of, okay, that's the blueprint. I just want to get as close to that as I possibly can, you know.
You know, I like that. I like the answer to that question because you became a historian at the same time you started falling in love with the sport. I wish more people would do that because this sport has such a rich history, as we all know. I think that what's really cool about where you're at right now is that UK scene is it's the melting pot right now of fantastic bodybuilders over there. You're kind of in this upheaval of that. Do you feel that over there? And does that push you a little bit with the barometer that's taking place?
It's been very hot, you know, since like obviously when Nathan came out in 2014, 2015, you know, he sort of like, because before him, we only had Dorian that's really reached to that echelon of bodybuilding. So for a lot of guys in the UK, especially younger guys coming up, we didn't have a lot of guys currently to sort of look up to. And then Nathan sort of broke that mold, and he showed that, okay, from the UK, you can actually get to the Olympia. You can actually be at that level. And we saw that, and we all kind of like, yo, possible. And we all sort of really went head to head. I mean, I know year after year, we all competed in the British Championships. We all bumped heads with each other for a long time. And we all wanted, there's always this trying to one-up each other at the sport and see who's the best, best in the UK. And for a long time, it was like that. So what we've now seen is, well, that whole, generation of us that were sort of bumping heads back in the, the early 2014, 2015s, you now see all them pros. We're all now pros now, and we're still doing the same thing. So that's why the UK seems to have such a hot, mix of top guys now that are coming out, because we sort of grew up through that echelon of, okay, we saw what was possible for us to do it. So we were like, okay, let's really get into it.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic over there right now. It really is. I think the American scene right now is all looking over across the pond and looking at all you guys going, whoa, coming this way. The British invasion, if you will, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so speaking of great physiques, you're working with one of the best and most beautiful physiques, and of course, a dear friend of mine. We have 13 covers out together, and I don't know if you know, but Milos actually helped me with my 98 Olympia and 99, although I didn't win in 99.
Yeah,
that was my fault. Not his fault, my fault. That's a whole nother story. But anyways, he's amazing. How did you guys link up, and how did you come to wanting to have his expertise help?
So, I mean, basically what happened at the end of 2020, out of 2020 and the beginning of 2020 was we on medals at the time. And I just started working with John during that period. And, John sort of kind of took me up and sort of brought me through the off season and sort of taught me. So he saw my potential, he saw what my body was capable of. So he started working with me through that whole period, kind of had an off season all through the beginning of 2021. And then we wanted to prep for the UK, Arnold UK coming, that was happening about September time in 2021. So we started prepping for that show. And I think obviously we were about 8 weeks out. That's when John passed away. And, it was really kind of hard for me, and really kind of like really sort of was a really knockback. But, I kind of remember obviously where we were working together for months. John always kind of like emulated. He always sort of spoke about Milos and saying, look, he told Milos about me and everything else. So when it got to the point where, I decided, okay, we wanted to carry on prepping for that show, I needed a coach that I could really relate to, someone that actually sort of know the way John works and know about me and how sort of get me to my best. So that was when I kind of reached out to Milos and I kind of said to him, look, I was working with John, and unfortunately, obviously, John's passed away. And I'm at this point where I'm just completely stuck. I need help. Are you willing to solve? Can you help me? And right away, Milos was like, yeah, you know what, for John, come on, let's do it together. And we sort of started carried on the prep. I think it was about 7 weeks out at that time. And we just carried on the prep. And we just kind of, at the time, we didn't know how far we'd go. We didn't know what the end product would be. But as we carried on the prep, we started sort of reading and getting close to knowing each other and everything else. And Milos he was really surprised. He was like, man, you know what? The way your body responds is crazy. And he goes, you know what? You can go a long way. I see what John was talking about and what John was telling me. He was telling me, man, you can really go a long way with this. And I think, if you're serious about it, I can help you get there. And Milos, we just clicked from that point on. We just started working together all through since. And, Milos, obviously, Milos is kind of crazy. He knows how to push me to the limit. And he knows how to get the best out of me. And, working with him since, we just see my physique go from just strides to strides, because his technique just works perfectly for me,
Does he do your training and your nutrition?
Yeah, he does.
So it's all one package. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys actually get to work in person together?
Yeah, because obviously we do most of the things online and everything else, but every time obviously we meet up, like what we're doing before the Arnold or before the Olympian and everything else, we'll meet up and he kind of goes through everything with me, and we obviously chat all the time. And he always, even this morning, I was speaking to him this morning, coming to the Arnold, and he's already he gets excited. And I think that's one thing I always love about Milos is even when I'm at this stage of prep where I'm feeling a bit tired and exhausted and just feel really low, I call him on the phone, I'm speaking to him. He's so excited and so enthusiastic about everything that he makes you end up smiling and feeling great about it. So he just has this thing of always being so, and he enjoys this sport and he loves it so much that even when you're not in the mood for it, you're like, come on, man, let's just get it over and know it. He makes you feel like, actually, you know what? He makes you feel good about it. And I think having someone like that is constantly so happy and so excited about your progress and excited about what you could be and excited where you are, it can't help. It just helps put you in a good mindset all the time.
How did you feel about you guys working together for your Olympia prep? First off, congratulations.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
I had you a couple places higher personally.
Thanks. Yeah.
How did that prep go? And then transitioning now in such a short period of time and seeing such a big transformation take place from the Olympian now to the Arnold.
Yeah, because I think what it is, like, you know, since me and Milos started working together, we've gone from just prep to prep. And we only had the first off season last year. And I remember when we started the beginning of off season, the whole 2020, I know we kind of came off the Arnold last year. Milos was kind of like, you know what, seeing the way my body responds, he's like, I could put 30 pounds on you. And I was kind of looked at him going, man, dude. So it's like your off season, I think your body, I see how the way your body, okay, do it. So off season, is by being and anything like that. And then we started dieting down from that weight. I saw the way my body was just progressing through that. And even coming to the Olympia, you know, where we kind of went down, you know, really started focusing heavily on the diet and trying to get me in shape. I remember that whole Olympia prep was definitely a hard one. It was probably the hardest I've done. You know, really kind of sucking down for the show. And when we did the Olympia, I had 2 weeks break, and then we started working for the Arnold. And now what just happened is something that both of us, we're kind of looking back, just stunned every week. We're looking going, why is it you're not dieting as hard as you did for the Olympia, but your body is just transforming week by week in changes that's happening is almost insane. And, you know, and so because we look at it, and every weekend we check in and we look at it, and we both just look at it going, what the hell is going on? You know, this is weird because you're getting crazy lean, but you're putting muscle at the same time, and you haven't had a break. At this point, your body should be tired. You should be showing signs of fatigue and shutting down. But it goes, you're growing and you're changing and you're looking more and more like the bodybuilder you should be. So we kind of just sat back and going, okay, it's happening now. Don't fix it, just roll with it. You know. And
hey, Claudia, can you put up that picture, that side by side of Samson?
I mean,
I look at that, Monica. I mean, really, look at that.
I know. Well, Samson, what I'm thinking is that you were peaking for the Arnold, and y'all just thought you were peaking at the Olympia, but now look at you really peaking. And I love that is something that can happen with these bodies when you do have shows that are back to back in a sense like this. It can be really challenging, but it also can be really cool to see how the body just, especially when you have the right mindset and you have the right energy, you have the right help, you've got the right, it sounds like right now you've got everything coming in between your sponsors, your partner, your where you are in business, your energy level. You've got the coach that is so enthusiastic, like you said, and amazing, like brilliant. Like it's just it's all this fantastic energy, you putting in the work, and your body just responding. Awesome. I'm just, it's amazing. Yeah.
It's blowing the world away. It honestly is. Samson, if I talk to one more coach about you and they use the word gorgeous, by the way, I'm getting people saying Samson looks gorgeous. And that's just such a big compliment. It really is. You have an amazing physique and a top level Olympia physique for sure. And listen, I'm a big fan. I'm going to put you there before you will. I'll tell you right now. I think you're going to be one of those guys to reckon with.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, like I said, for me, you know, watching this happen, even though it's happening to me, I'm still in disbelief about it because I'm looking at it going, man, this is it's crazy to see the physique come together. Like I've also always dreamed that one day you can have this. And now that it's happening, you're almost in disbelief because you don't really know how to take it. You're thinking, okay, I wasn't expecting it to happen so soon. I was thinking, okay, you know, down the line somewhere. And it's always that dream of, one day. And then all of a sudden one day becomes 2 days. And you're kind of like, okay, was it? I wasn't ready for it just yet, you know. But it's happening now. And you kind of look at it and you just try and take it in and really sort of not just let the moment sort of whiz by you and you not really sort of take time to breathe and say, wow, this is amazing. So we're trying to really sort of like captivate and really breathe in and say, okay, this is actually happening. Accept it. Look at it and be proud of what's actually going on around you.
It's happening, man. It's happening. What's your body weight at right now?
This is one thing because we looked at it before the Olympia, and since then we haven't checked it again.
Okay.
Because what would happen when we started prepping for the Olympia, because I was always 330 pounds, and I always got the same thing, man. I got body dysmorphia just like every bodybuilder. So when my weight starts to come down, I start to feel like, oh man, I'm losing too much muscle. No. So it tends to end up sabotaging myself. I don't let myself come in too deep. So one of the tricks we kind of found is when we were prepping for that was like, okay, we don't want to know the weight. We just want to focus on the look. So we won't check it until the day before the Olympia. So we did all that with the Olympia prep, checked it right before we flew out to Vegas, and I was 296 pounds. And then that was the week before the show. So that was the last time we actually checked it. And then where we've kind of had the Olympia, had 2 weeks break, and came back into prep again, we just haven't looked. And we kind of thinking, okay, it's going to be the same process where next week, right before we fly out to the States, we're going to have a look and see, okay, let's compare the difference. But, it's one of those interesting things where we're seeing what's happening, and we're looking at going, you're getting leaner, but you're not losing, you're not getting smaller.
Oh, no, you're
So
not.
it's like, okay, it's weird, but it's happening. This one thing where you see it happening, so you just kind of feel like, well, don't actively stop it. Just roll with it. Just let it happen,
It's got to excite Milos that you're 6 foot tall too. Boy, there's a lot to work with there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Put more muscle on and carry, and that your body structure is able to hold it, right?
Hold it.
Yeah, it's that's awesome. Do you ever check your body fat, or I know you're super lean, but just curiosity, because that was one thing I always did every week was check my body fat. So is that something
we used to do that? We used to do that in the past, but this time we haven't actually had a chance to do it. We just kind of like looked at it and just say, okay, right, we know where my stubborn areas are in the areas that always seem to struggle, always hold the amount of fat that just struggles to get that skin really thin. I always normally around the glutes area and everything like that, around that area mainly. So this time we sort of think, as much as we see everything else, we kind of like, okay, we need to pay attention to this one area. If this area gets lean, then we know everything else follows it. So we just kind of have this thing where we just pinpoint the most stubborn area and go, if that part is ready, then everything else is ready.
So, what, Samson, you are writing history right now. Do you recognize that?
No, I haven't.
Kind of going back to what we were just talking about. And it's so amazing, just like, because you just kind of touched on it. You said it's just happened and all of a sudden it's here and it's like, wow. And I just want to make sure you're like cognizant of the fact that you are writing history. And one of the things that for this industry and for the bodybuilding community, the world, the bodybuilding world, just like the other greats have in the past, it's your chapter now, it's your era now, right? And one of the things that I want to applaud you and encourage you in is that you have such a coachable spirit and this humble, coachable spirit that to sit there and say, talk about how Milos's energy is, contagious. Yeah. And that's what he's giving you so that someday you pass that on, and you're passing it on right now for whoever hears this, message. And I just think that's the wonder, because it's not just about the show that makes an athlete a star. It's this journey, right? It's how you speak about it. It's your enthusiasm about the whole process, the whole journey, every day leading up to that show, and then the show, and then the next day, and then moving on. And like, you are creating this star, legendary, athletic athlete. And it's wonderful to get to hear this part of you, because being a girl, I like to hear all these kind of girly parts that you guys want to talk about, the meat and potatoes, and I'm like, what about?
Well, it's crazy because because I felt like for a long time, where I've stood in the sideline, I've worked full-time job and trying to chase after bodybuilding. I watch every single Olympia that's ever happened. I've gone back and watched it all, and follow the history. And I always said, I remember the day I did my first show. That was the day that the first generation Iron movie came out. And I remember watching that right before I went to do my show, and watching Phil Heath and Kai Green and those guys there. And for me, it was so surreal, and it was so like, holy crap, that this is bodybuilding, this is insane. So to kind of like look at it now, I still feel there's nothing's changed. I'm still that dude that was looking at it going, this is crazy. I can't believe that it's actually happening. So it doesn't hit home. It doesn't, even now after the Olympia, because we haven't actually had time off to sort of sit back and go, okay, let's take it all in. It's just been going from there to another prep, and we've kind of moving on. So we haven't had time to take a break yet. So it hasn't really dawned or set in yet. It's still quite fresh to me, and I haven't really had a chance to really let it sink in. But I'm in disbelief. I'm just that stunned by it, because It's something I've always dreamt of. It's something I've always watched and always imagined one day what it would be like to be at that level. One day what it would be like to be on Olympian stage. One day. And then all of a sudden it happens, and you're almost so caught in the moment or in shock of it, and you don't really, you can't even have to step back and go, oh my God, this is crazy. But, you know, I remember like even the first pro show I did where I had Rolly backstage and I saw him for the first time, and it blew my mind because it's someone I was just watching less than 4 years ago on a DVD. And now I'm standing backstage thinking, damn, I'm about to go on stage with Rolly. This is a bit crazy, you know. So it's really kind of like, it just doesn't, you know, it never feels like it's just another day. It never feels like, well, here we are, it's just another day bodybuilding. It always feels special. It always feels, oh my God, this is unbelievable to me, you know. And to be able to have this lifestyle now, it's still just, you know, every day I still wake up thinking, you are lucky, man, because this is disbelief. This is crazy.
Yeah, there's a certain appreciation that you have that I really admire. I love that about you already. And you're right. You haven't had a lot of time to sit back and really think about what's going to happen or what's happening. No. But your off season is coming. But until then, you got work to do. Because that Arnold, now let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
About 4 weeks ago, 3 guys weren't in that show yet. Now all of a sudden this show's getting bigger and bigger. What were you thinking all of a sudden? Nick joins the show, then Andrew Jack joins the show. I mean, obviously you like the competition, but what was going through your head?
Yeah, because I was excited. Obviously, when you come off the Olympia, and I felt really good after the Olympia and that, but it almost feels like we went back and we looked at the package we brought to Olympia, and we looked at it and we're going, you know, we could have been better. You know that as great as it was, we saw the mistakes we made that we could have easily have been better. And now it almost felt like when we then saw the Arnold list and all the guys were jumping, I was like, oh great, this is my opportunity now. I get to try it again. And this time I don't have to wait for a whole off season, a whole year. It can happen in a few months. So I'm like, so it was exciting. It's that point of, okay, now I know that we have time for us to fix our mistake. I don't have to dwell on it for a whole year thinking, oh, if only I didn't do this, or if I did this, or if we did that. So now I'm like, okay, here we go. We get a chance to do this again, you know. So I'm excited, man. Honestly, it blew my mind when they all jumped in. I was like, yes, okay, rematch. All right, let's go. You know,
I love that point of view, man. I really do.
That's a true athlete, like just diving in, and that probably, you know, maybe some of that comes too from being a rugby player, because that's not an easy sport. Like,
no.
You know, like going after something diligently and aggressively, and that's what you're doing here and now too. So do you have any information or tips or advice? Like, let's go back and say, if you knew something, you know, a couple things before, and you could share that information with maybe new emerging bodybuilders, what would that look like?
I'll say, you know what, don't ever give up your dreams, because I did not believe for 1 minute I was going to get here. You know, I had a lot of ups and a lot of downs in my journey here. And there's been few times I literally wanted to quit. I wanted to just say, okay, right, it's not happening. Okay, I'm just going to walk away and save grace and just be like, well, that's it. It wasn't meant to be. I'll say, you know what, from anybody who's in that journey and in that stage right now, and you're struggling and you're thinking, okay, you know what, maybe this isn't for you. Trust me, I'm going to tell you this, speaking from my own experience, don't give up. Just don't stop. Just keep going. Put your head down. Just keep going. It will be knocks along the way, and it will happen several times and over and over and over again. But if you just stick to the truth, stick to your path with it, you'll be surprised where you end up, because I'm sure I'm surprised where I am today because of it.
And what about being an endorsed athlete? Because that's something that's really empowering as an athlete to have those endorsements. So is that something that you have any tips for people? Because I know people have asked me over the years. I'm like, you know, a lot of it's who you know, but and who you are in the industry. And of course, you know, you've got a name people want to attach to. So
I mean, for me, you know, because Hostile gave me a chance when nobody knew who I was. You know, they saw me in South Korea running a hotel room, trying to just do a show anywhere in the world during the time of Corona, because no show was happening. And, you know, they must have looked at me at the time going, this dude, are you crazy? What are you doing? You're quarantining yourself in a hotel room for 14 days just to do a bodybuilding show in South Korea. Why would you even risk that? Why would you do that? And I told him the same time, I was like, look, the whole idea, we all say do whatever it takes. But then do we really do it when the time comes? When push comes to something, do you really stick to that? And I said to him that, well, we say that, but it's not just a word to me. I mean it when I say I'm going to do whatever it takes to make my way to the top. So for me, they sort of gave me the opportunity. They saw that in me when no one else did. And they were like, look, okay, you know what, we want to support you. And since then, you know, there's this idea where we kind of look for companies and we're thinking, okay, what can a company do for us? And honestly, I think it's more the other way around. You know, at least we got to ask, okay, what can we do for a company? You know, because
that is so true, Samson, because I've interviewed a lot of pro athletes like yourself. And the one common denominator you all have is exactly that. You have this personality and this drive that represents these companies. It's not just about being good or being on stage or being number one. It's about having those other intangibles as well.
Yeah, and it's exactly that, you know. So, you know, the whole idea of, okay, just being a good bodybuilder isn't enough. You got to be relatable. You got to be able to express yourself and show support to the company that you're actually with. And, you know, Hostile, they took me up and they supported me when if they had no reason to. So now being in the position where I am, I'm supporting them everywhere I can. You know, I'm doing everything I can to show them appreciation for giving me an opportunity when there wasn't one, you know. So yeah, it truly means a lot to have that.
Well, they hit the jackpot. They hit the jackpot.
So I have a fun question. I remember the first event, anyways, when I actually signed autographs, and it was like, what? You know. So do you remember the event for you? And you coming up and wanting you to sign autographs?
It was the Arnold Classic last year. You know, that was definitely because, especially, you know, coming from the UK, you always feel like, you know, you're not as known in the States as you are in the UK because you kind of been established here. So coming to the Arnold Classic last year, you know, I didn't know that I was even known at all in the US. So when they had the athletes meet and greet, I just kind of sat on the table and thinking, well, you know, not really known around here, so not really surprised anything. And then I see a queue forming, and people were asking me to sign autograph and take a picture. I'm like, okay, this is weird. All right, thank you. Okay, I guess I'll do this. You know, and this is it for now. So it's very surreal because I was the guy on the other side of it, queuing up to meet my idols, and now being on the other side of it, you're standing there going, okay, this is weird. I don't know how to take it, but I guess, you know, all I can do is, okay, do what you expected, you hope the athletes did when you met your idols. You know, give them that same feeling that you got when you met the guys that you looked up to. So it was, for me, just felt like, okay, this is it, you know, smile, talk to them, find out their story, you know, establish some kind of rapport with them and not just stand there and take a picture and go, thanks, next, you know. And for me, having that, because I know, you know, I met Flex Lewis, I met Sean Roden, I felt a few guys at the time coming up in expos, and they really spoke to me at the time. They really shared a lot with me at the time, and I really loved that. And I'm like, look, they gave that to me coming up, so I would like in hand give it to someone else on their way up as well.
Well, that sounds like just you, like whatever you can give back, and that's what makes stars in this industry, you know. Is there's a million, you know, great looks and great bodies. I mean, yours is definitely like one of the million up there that's like top. But, you know, I just think it's that attitude and that giving servant spirit that's going to help elevate you even more with the fans, with the media, with anything that you're doing. And that's awesome, because that's what we want this industry to be led by.
Awesome.
You know, Samson, darn you. I liked you before this damn interview. Now I love you. I mean, really. I'm a huge fan. I was, and I'll, you know, so it's been a pleasure chatting with you, man. I tell you, I look forward to running into you at one of these expos soon. And hopefully Monica and I'll get a chance to do another show from an expo and have you join us for a while. But I appreciate you being on. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much, man.
Two things, Samson. Do you and Mel have any kind of vacations after the Arnold plan?
Yes, we definitely deserve one, and I think this one we definitely want a long vacation. You know, me, her, and the dog, and just have some time away because, like we said, we've been full on for the last 6 months, and it's been all about me for the last 6 months. So at this point, once the show is done, it's like, okay, we're gonna have a break, take a trip down out of Switzerland or to Spain, and just completely just have a break for a few weeks and just let it all finally sink in, because with both of us, it still hasn't sunk in yet. All this is still ongoing. So to have a moment to sort of sit back, relax by the pool, and then go, oh crap, you do realize you're number 6 in the world. Oh, damn. Okay. You just did the Arnold, or you just did that. So we want to wait for that moment to come in for us to actually finally go, all right, this is real.
I love it. Okay. And then lastly, are you going to come back on the Monica Brant show after you've got all of these big amazing trophies
Right.
and
course,
medals.
Of course, man. I always here, definitely.
Okay,
Just
Joe,
invite me back, will you? Can I come back too, please? When
Samson, thank you so much. Really
you, Samson.
appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you to all of our guests, or not guests, sorry, our comments. We've got people that are commenting over here and saying hello. And thank you guys for the support and just commenting. It's fun to see. I'll go back and look at everybody's messages later. But Samson, we can't wait to see you on stage from afar. Unfortunately, we won't be there in person, but we'll be cheering from Texas and Michigan.
That's right.
Thank you
good luck
much.
to you, man. Good luck to you.
Best of skill. Oh, Samson, if you don't, do you know who Samson is in the Bible?
Yes, I do. Samson Delilah. Yeah,
Well,
I think my parents had a sense of humor when they named me Samson, because I don't know how they saw this coming, because I was definitely because everybody joke about it.
But listen, Samson was the strongest, and still they say he was the strongest man to ever live. So you must have some of that genetic inside of you to end up saving the Israelite generation too, right?
Yep.
So
but I don't have the long hair though.
no, that's okay. You've got the strength, and I just know you have that strength. So that's cool. Well, all right, I'm going to say goodbye because Joe knows I can keep asking and talking.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Samson. Good night.
Hey guys, if you've enjoyed the 𝗦𝗽liche Brant Show, don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell, and if you have any ideas or suggestions for the show, comment below, and I'm happy to get back to you.